let me start off by asking this question. Quite ironically, how many questions do you ask your spouse about the affair every day? Like, if you could keep track of them, how many are there? Or how many are there that you want to ask that you don't ask? Well, this live is perfect for anyone that wants to get 12 questions that you could ask your spouse right away about the affair. Also, this is a great live to figure out, should I ask these questions? Should I ask any of the questions that are on my list? And also, what if I don't get the answer I want? So this live is perfect for you if you have all these questions that you want to ask your spouse, but either you're not getting answers or you're not sure if you should ask them. So my name's Beth Miller. I am the marriage coach with the Marriage Saver program, and I want to welcome you here to this safe spot. Please feel free, if you're watching on YouTube, to like, and then, as the kids would say, smash that notification button so that smash the bell so you get that notification that new lives are coming up. And if you're in the Facebook group, it's good to see you here. And if you're not in the Facebook group, check below. There'll be a link for you to join. So let's hop right into it. Let's get into these 12 questions that you can ask when you want to know more about the affair. And feel free to put any comments down below. As always, I have my notes because I never want to forget anything. So there's a few things that we need to do to prep for these questions. So we don't want to just hop right into them. You need to ask yourself a few questions just to make sure that you're in a place where you can ask these questions without making things worse. So step one, prepare yourself emotionally. And that means getting yourself to a place where you're feeling very neutral, which is really hard to do, because what happens is we have to listen with an open heart, and it can be really, really difficult to do that, which is why maybe you want to ask some small questions first, and you won't want to ask all 12 at the same time, but start with what feels like a safer question for you to answer, or for you to ask, sorry. So preparing yourself emotionally to be neutral. It's okay if you do cry or start to get upset. It just means that we have to shut the conversation down at that point. And even though you may have initiated the conversation, at that point you might have to say, you know what, I thought I could do this, but right now I need to take a step back, and can we continue this conversation on a little bit later? I thank you for being as open as you could be right now. And I know how difficult that is to show gratitude. Sometimes we just want to be like, you deserve this. I want to make you feel as bad as you've made me feel. You deserve this. You don't deserve the grace. I need to humble you. But we really have to go from a place of, if we can be open to them, that's going to create that safety for them to open up and feel safe, that we're not going to get angry, we're not going to judge them. So with that said, we have to make a decision. Am I going to go in with empathy? A lot of times when affairs happen, it's not because of you, it's because of something that they are chasing, a feeling that they are chasing. And whether it's alcohol, gambling, there's addictions in this, and there's a feeling that they're chasing, something that they want to numb, or something that they think they need in their life that they're not getting elsewhere, or not open to getting elsewhere. So preparing yourself emotionally so that you can show some sort of empathy without judgment, and figure out the goal. Is the goal to get to the root cause so you can figure out what happened so it doesn't happen again? Sometimes we can get the answer to why it happened, but other times we'll never get it because our spouse may not even know why they did it. They may be in complete denial, and maybe it'll be revealed weeks, months later, but at this point they may not actually know, because they've been maybe suppressing what they need to actually bring up and face. Whether it's not feeling enough, whether they're feeling they've always had to be perfect, whether they're feeling like they need validation and they're just feeling like everything's going wrong in their life, something that they keep squashing that needs to actually come up. Set clear intentions for yourself, that again, you're going to go in with that curiosity, that open mind. And I just want to take a deep breath. This is so hard, right? This is so hard to go in with this space of openness and trust. Big time, right place, right time, making sure that it's the right place, the right time. You got to give yourself lots of time. I know it's tricky, especially if you have young kids. It's there's no time in the morning, you're exhausted at the end of the day. So just getting really creative. Can someone come over and watch the kids, or take the kids out for a little bit while you guys can talk? Your marriage is key, right? It really is. There could be work to do, things to do, but you really got to have these conversations, and he has to be on board with having them, even if it's just one question. I apologize. We have a bit of a cold in our household, speaking of my kids. So plan your questions out ahead of time and making sure you're setting your boundaries. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Okay. So asking questions. Your husband may be filled with guilt and shame, so it may be really difficult for him to open up. So it's really important to create that safe space. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. You can see my eyes are tearing up. One moment. Okay, hopefully that helps. So when he is open, we all know that it'll be more productive conversation. It might take some warming up. Like I said, maybe an easy, simple question to start with as a warm up. So you felt like, okay, phew, that was okay. Did that one okay? Oh my gosh, I may have to stop this live. I'm so sorry. Okay, so first question number 1. You ready for it? There's some sort of way that you can word this, but essentially, like, what led up to the affair? And what I mean, what led up to the affair was, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What led up to the affair? Like, what were you feeling? Like, was it a connection that started because, you know, it was just interesting to talk to this person? It was fun. It was easy. Were you feeling like things were difficult at home to talk to me? It was just fun? Like, just getting into, like, what was happening kind of leading up. Also, was there anything happening with work, with family? Is there anything like that was happening? So initiating a conversation that is very open, like, let's collect some of the data. What was going on, or did it just happen? Some other questions you could ask, like, that are part of my number 1 is, what specific moments may have triggered you to seek out this? Other questions, did you feel unfulfilled or neglected? Again, these are all under question 1. Were there external factors like stress, work, which we've already alluded to, personal issues? Did they play a role? Were there circumstances that contributed to these actions? And did you discuss the concerns with me before? So if you don't have a pen already, grab a pen. I'll run through those really quick. Question 1, can you help me understand the circumstances of the affair? And then the smaller ones underneath it, were there specific moments or events that triggered the behavior? Did you feel unfulfilled or neglected in our relationships? If so, how? Were there external factors like stress, work, or personal issues that played a role? Were there circumstances that contributed to the actions? Were there other circumstances? And can you tell me what role I may have played in this? What concerns you had with me? All right, into our next one, which is kind of a sub one of this too, but what was going on in our lives? So that was like kind of external, if we were to break it into 2, external stuff, but now what was going on in ours? This one can be really hard to not get defensive and not get judgmental. So engaging in a candid conversation with your spouse around the circumstances of what was going on in your marriage. There's never a valid reason for infidelity. Never, ever, ever. And we all know that, but it's good to see where was their head at? What are they potentially blaming this on? Might be one thing. What stories are they telling themselves about it, whether they're true or not true? Also, maybe it's a mirror for you to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I not that you ever did anything, but maybe I was so busy or caretaking for a sick mom, or so busy with work, or it was a really difficult time with kids, or you know what, I was angry at him too, and so I was maybe pushing him away. Or maybe you're completely blindsided and there was no role that you played. But number 1, there is no excuse for infidelity. You did not cause this. You don't deserve this. Some people say there's karma. I don't believe that when it comes to infidelity at all. So maybe there's financial stress within your household. That too could be a play in this. Okay, question 3. Ready? Question 3. After the affair, this is an interesting one. How did you feel about your actions? Ooh, this is a deeper one. I wouldn't start with this one, but asking questions like this involves him in the reflection of post-affair emotions. So did he feel guilt? Did he feel remorse? Did he feel like a relief that the truth had finally come out if he was busted right away? Asking a question like this is really important so that you can sense that maybe he is a human and he does care about you. If he just kind of like, I don't know what I felt, I'm not sure, then just let that one be. You don't need to pull it out of him yet. This one you could be revisiting later. So this helps you understand, though, the emotional state that he was in, whether complete denial, like I didn't feel anything, or the deeper emotions that he was having. So understanding the emotional state can help you both navigate the path towards healing. And being able to express like openly the genuine feelings that were going on. But like I said, if he's not a feeler and doesn't talk about his feelings, be very gentle with this. You can even give options like A, B, C. After the incident, did you feel guilt? Did you feel shame? Kind of the same thing. Did you feel anger? Did you feel sadness? Did you feel nothing? Like giving some options is nice too, because then they don't have to think, especially if they're not big into feeling. A lot of people know mad or anger, and they know sadness. And other than that, the spectrum sometimes isn't that wide. And anger is a catch-all, it's a secondary emotion for many other feelings. So if they said angry, it usually means there's something below the surface. Okay, so if they're feeling guilt and shame, regret, that's good, because then we can dig into this a little bit more. It means they understand that they've done something wrong, that they've broken the values. If they're feeling like relief because they've finally been busted, or maybe they're confused about why they did it, that's also a good one to open up the conversation around. It's an opportunity to discuss for both of you what you want to address going forward. if there's like this indifference and denial, that's the tricky one, right? So in some cases, the spouse may not express any significant regret. And this is difficult because this makes you feel like you're not seen, you're not heard, and he doesn't care about you. He thinks what he did is right, like crazy, right? So if a spouse responds this way, it's essential to express your feelings and set your boundaries right away. And what I mean by setting your boundaries are, you know what, we need to revisit this one later. If you're just feeling indifferent or you're feeling like you didn't do anything wrong, I'm going to pause and we're going to come back to it, because there must be more to this, that you did something that you have no feelings for, or you're denying that this, well, if they're completely denying that it even happened, that's a whole nother conversation. That's difficult, because then we have to approach, I'm not even going to go with that one. That might be a whole nother live. What do they do if they deny? And that's what we can call sometimes the trickle truce. Sorry, I'm going to address it for a second. Trickle truce can then spiral into other questions. So if you find out, and that can be really angry, right? Because with every trickle truth, you ask a question, you get another trickle truth and another trickle truth. But that might be one way to kind of go with this denial. Anyway, another conversation. Remorse is good, because then they can show maybe some commitment on your end. Okay, next question. Number 4. Okay, ready for 4? 4, what were your expectations from the affair? Like why did you get into it? But what were the expectations? Why did you engage in it? And did the affair meet those expectations? Was it to have fun? Was it to feel carefree? Was it to, whatever the reason, was it to feel validated? Was it to, whatever it might, a lot of times it's validation. That's what I hear a lot. So engaging in a candid conversation with your spouse about the expectations regarding the affair can provide a lot of valuable insight. So it does, once again, encourage reflection, but it might be, like I said, excitement, validation, and escape from marriage problems are often what they might say. So this can be a critical step in rebuilding trust, is knowing that, okay, this is what they got out of it. And that helps a lot, because then you know, okay, this might not happen again if we can keep you in a place where you're not seeking out validation, where you're doing some inner work and realizing inner validation comes from within. All right, next one. What are your feelings about the relationship? And this one can be a really difficult one to get a straight answer on. What are your feelings about the relationship? What were they at the time? Like, how did you feel about her? How do you feel about her now? And I like Likert scales for this. And Likert scale is a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 being, and you could put the emotion on there, I hate her. Often I don't hear like spouses say they hate, like your husband. I don't often hear them say they hate them. Often there's this limerence, there's a feeling of like liking them, like they're friends, best friends even, that they really like love them, right? And there's a lot of grief in that. There's a lot of often emotional intimacy. If there wasn't emotional intimacy, then what are your feelings? She's nothing to me. It was just sex. So what are your thoughts and feelings about her now is a really good question. And even you could break it into, how did you feel about her before, during, after? And even if it was a long affair, like how did you feel about her in the first couple months, middle, and just before you ended it? How did you feel about her? So again, this one allows for, it might hurt a lot. This might be one that you want to like really wait on too. So like I said, some of these can't happen right away, because you may not be, like I said, those first steps, preparing yourself emotionally to have this conversation is really important, so that you can stay open, but again, shutting it down if you need to shut it down, like with mutual respect, being like, we'll come back to it. We never want to shut it down without picking the time that you're going to follow up again, because that can leave partner feeling abandoned or neglected in regards to sharing their needs. Okay, next question. We're on number 6. What do you think we can do to rebuild trust and strengthen our connection going forward? And I know a lot of couples, like wives in particular, like, can we go to therapy? Can we talk this out? Other couples, they want to like read books together, listen to podcasts, just going for like walks together and opening up that way. There's a fun, like I have some couples that I work with, and they get these cards, they're like question cards. So it kind of goes along with this theme of 12 questions. And it might simply be, what would be a question? It's kind of like a would you rather, it could be silly, like would you rather cuddle with your dog all night or cuddle with one of the kids all night, like something like that. It's a silly question, but it opens up just dialogue that might feel comfortable and gets them answering questions. So very non-intrusive questions that are fun to practice answering questions. So what do you think we can do to rebuild our connection? Obviously that takes a lot of commitment, but starting small, and even if you each gave one little suggestion that's tangible, to rebuild connection, whether it's, you know, let's talk for 10 minutes before we go to bed. Hey, can you read this like one article? Can you share each other posts back and forth if you're getting some interesting posts come through Facebook or through Instagram? Just looking at those and sharing those simple things back and forth. Those little steps can really rebuild connection, just sharing little bits of information. Question 7, here we go. And I'm not having a cough attack anymore. Oh my goodness, that was horrible. Okay, how can we ensure that both of our emotional needs are met going forward? Ooh. Okay, so with this question, this is really about needs. A lot of like, what are your needs emotionally? Oh, we could even do love languages in here too. If you guys know your love languages, we could do that. Chapman is the author of Love Languages. So checking that out, figuring out how you can love each other. So it's essential to have the awareness of both of your emotions and what you need. I need to feel loved. I need to feel taken care of. I need to feel like I feel loved when you give me things like that can be really helpful here. I need more emotional intimacy. I need more physical intimacy. I need us to have a safe space where we can talk, where, you know what, you're not going to shut down and run away. And that run away might be a bit triggering, but where you're not going to shut down. And if you are feeling like you need to shut down, then we need to come up with a mutual time that we can work on this again and talk about it, like a repair. That's what I would call it, like a mutual time to repair. Okay, question 8. What boundaries can we establish to prevent the situation from happening again? And I'm not a big fan of getting all passwords, but I think sometimes it can be really helpful, right? And it's, if it feels right to get it from a place that's like, how do I want to word this? A place of like safety. Like if something were to happen to your spouse, like if they were to get sick and you need to get into the passwords, sometimes that's good to have them just for that sake, but it has to feel good. Okay, we have them. And not that you're going to use them, because a lot of times if you have them, you won't use them, but knowing that they're there just feels like it was an act of showing mutual respect. But I wouldn't suggest checking passwords all the time, or checking, like Facebook or email all the time, because what happens is, we've talked about this on other lives, we have a nervous system and there's parasympathetic and sympathetic. And when we're in a parasympathetic state, we're very much rest and digest, and we can be calm and we can think, and we can be present. But when you're in a sympathetic state, that is not good. That's when your heart's racing fast, you can't eat, so your stomach hurts, or you're losing weight. You can't think straight. You might have like just so many thoughts racing. It's just very difficult. It's the opposite of rest and digest. You can't sleep at night. Like all your proper functioning is like not working well. So it's really important that if you're checking passwords, your nervous system might be ramping up into that like survival mode. What are you going to see? What are you going to see? So just taking note of, if you are one that's logging in, which is okay. It's okay. Because often it can feel like you're protecting yourself. But we just have to make sure that you're not doing it and getting yourself into that sympathetic state all the time. Okay, number 9, how can we both communicate openly about our needs and desires about the future? So that's coming back. So that is a communication question, right? Like, are we going to have check-ins? Something like this one I don't need to go into a lot of detail about, but how can we communicate about our desires and needs going forward? So sorry. Okay. 10, here we go, we made it. Do you think you're ready to commit to the process of healing and strengthening our marriage together? Oh, and again, like I told you earlier, I love Likert scale of 1 to 10, because this is hard, because like, are you even wanting to be a 10 out of 10 committed to strengthening your marriage? I think healing and strengthening are 2 different things. Well, healing your marriage, I think first you have to heal yourself. And we've talked about this process of, we have to get ourselves in a solid foundation. We have to get to a place where we are feeling like we're not as angry. We have processed a lot of the pain and the hurt. And I use a process that involves hypnosis. The women I work with, we listen to these beautiful meditations, plus there's one-on-one sessions. And we get to a place where we really heal ourselves, where not as angry and not as resentful. It sucked. It totally sucks that you went through that and are still going through it, but we can really start to leave the past in the past. It's not like you'll ever forget it. We can't get rid of memories. But what will happen is you will feel more at peace. You'll feel like you're enough, that you're loved, that you will be okay regardless of what happens, that you're heard, that you're seen, that you're desirable, like all this stuff. You're going to feel so good. And when you feel better, your marriage can get better. But at least one of you has to be in a stable foundation, ideally both. But if at least one of you is, the other one can then find that you're more reliable and help fix the cracks in their foundation. So do you think you're committed to the process of healing and strengthening our marriage? First off, are you committed to working on yourself? That might be the first one. And working on yourself is like so generic. Like, what do you mean by that? Are you willing to have a look, especially if we talk about those first questions, like why did this happen? What circumstances were arising? Oh, the grief of your mom passed away months before this happened. Are you committed to seeing a counselor to talk about the grief process? So a lot of times we can take some of the answers from those first questions and just specifically put them in. Specifics are best. Ideally, they're the best things that we want to use when we're doing this. Okay. Oh, we can go with, 11. Sorry. Here we go. 11. How do you envision our future? Yeah, this one's really fun. And you know what? You can not put this in 11. Put this near the beginning. This is a fun one. This is where you're allowed to dream. So if we make it through this and we heal, this is how I envision our future together. 12. Here we go. What do you love about our relationship? And again, we can put this one up front. This is a good one to pepper through, maybe even at the end of every conversation. What's one thing that you love about our relationship and what we're working on? So those are the big 12s. If you have any questions about this, let me know. I'm here for you. Join the Facebook group unless you're already in it and you're watching it from the group. YouTube, jump on YouTube. Like I said, like it and click the bell to get the notifications. But another part of this, I should say, is the undesirable answers. If you're getting undesirable answers, it can be natural to feel flooded. And flooded just means literally neurochemicals are flooding your body. That's why all of a sudden you just feel rage and just so upset or sick to your stomach. So if you don't like his answers, you may find that you're feeling flooded, and it's natural. So that's when we need to ask for clarification. So what I'm hearing is, you don't know the answer to this. That makes me feel like maybe you haven't taken the time to really go inward and check in to see how you're feeling. Makes me feel like maybe I should give you some space so that you can try to work through this on your own. So your husband may be struggling with himself, right? And his own guilt about his own actions. So it can take him time to evaluate his own answers. So undesirable answers can be a turning point in a relationship, right? So reflect on whether this is something that you can pause and revisit, or if this is a hard answer. The other part I'd like to talk about with this too is the questions we ask. We have to ask ourselves first, do I need to know this for my healing today? Do I need to know this for my healing today? Because if you don't, then we don't need to ask it right away. Then lastly, professional help. I'm here. I can recommend some therapists. Your husband, there's some husband programs out there too, but most of the times it's wives. You're hurting so bad, and it's not fair, it's not right that you are a casualty in all of this, but you definitely need to heal from this process of the pain, the hurt, and the images, the thoughts, everything that's happening. And so feel free, send me a DM, comment below, and we're here for you. Join the Facebook group, jump in the YouTube channel, and anyway, hopefully those 12 questions helped. Make them more specific if you can, vary them, and I'm here for you anytime. Bye, everyone.